Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to one of the most beautiful flower gardens in Melbourne's north. We're here at the Peaceful Land of Joy, the Tibetan Buddhist Society Peaceful Land of Joy. It's a 10-acre flower garden. Here we've got quite an extensive plant collection of exotics and natives mainly around the periphery, and lots of different exotic, for example, a big rose collection of hybrid teas, floribundas and David Austins. Lots and lots of herbaceous perennials, a lot of salvias. So a beautiful big flower garden, as well as quite a collection of exotic trees, such as the golden robinias you can see in the background here. Beautiful cedar, Cedrus deodora, and around the lake, there's a couple of lakes here. There's lots of weeping willows and so on. So we'll, in this very short virtual garden tour, we'll try and show you a few of the plants here. So we'll go and have a look now. So this is our Californian Redwood grove. It's behind one of the lakes here on the property. Californian Redwoods, they're a very ancient genus. They've been around for 30 million years or so. And in North America, where they originate from, they can live for up to 2,000 years. So, and grow up to 110 meters high. They'll never get that big here in Australia because we don't generally have that sort of rainfall. But as you can see, these ones have really taken off since we've started heavily mulching them. They've really taken off. So if you pop back in, say, 500 years' time, you should see pretty significant trees here. Thank you. Quite a variety of the trusty pelargoniums and geraniums in this garden. You see this beautiful pinky purple one. And as well as that, we get a lot of colour from our salvias. We've got a big salvia collection. Salvias are the largest genus in the mint family, and really good for colour range for blues and purples. This one's a beautiful sort of purpley, pinky purple. And good thing about salvias, they hold a lot of oil, so, as they're in the mint family. No insect problems at all. And when they finish flowering, you can just get the hedge trimmer and chop them right down. They come back again with another good flush of flowers. And you can do this multiple times through the season. So just behind me here, you can see with some of the calendulas, the garden is full of calendulas. So there's two types of companion planting. There's the type that smell very strongly, things like garlic and pyrethrum, and you plant those in your garden, and then all the insects will fly off into your neighbour's garden. So they're a repellent type of companion plant. Whereas these calendulas, they act more to attract insects towards them. So tagetes, French marigolds, they do the same. And if you for example, if you're growing tomatoes, you can put French marigolds there and it'll attract the whitefly towards the tomatoes. And these are quite a good companion plant. They pull insects away from the roses. This lake here is the main water supply for the garden. We're not on mains water out here in Europe. So we've got all our pathways, all the lawns are plumbed in. We get pretty good runoff, and it's been a great season for rain. But also we invested heavily in underground water treatment plants. So we recycle our grey water, and that ends up so we can use it for growing roses. So that works out very well. On this lake here, we get lots and lots of different water birds. We get lots of ducks, grey herons, brown herons. What else do we get? Ibis's, cormorants sometimes turn up, flocks of cormorants. So, and we even get one type of duck that walks up and down the lawns, and it's the most wonderful bird there is. It eats the weeds, the chickweeds and other little weeds, and transforms them into garden fertilizer. So it's the perfect bird to invite to your garden. Okay. So we'll have a bit of a look around now. This is the in front of the temple. So we've got many lawn areas on this property, and lots of beautiful places to sit. So we can have a look around. These are golden robineas. There's a big arc of golden robineas that leads up to the temple. The golden robineas, they got a lovely white scented flower in spring, and beautiful shade tree. So that's the centerpiece of the garden is this traditional Tibetan temple. We'll talk about it a little bit later. Yeah, so okay. So the blue flowers in the foreground there, they're self-sown borage, which springs up. Yeah, it's beautiful. Holds a lot of water when it rains. The flowers look really nice. And these ground cover euonymus, they're called emerald gold. Very hardy. And springtime, it sort of adds to the golden light theme we have in this garden with all the golden robineas and the emerald gold euonymus. This is another of the lawn areas here. It's called the bird lawn. And every morning the birds get a good feed. Geshe always used to come out early in the morning, and the sparrows, there'd be a huge lineup of sparrows on the balcony, like a reception, waiting for him he'd come out about 6:30 and feed all the birds. We get a big collection of, what do we get? We get lots of ducks, we get parrots, we get sparrows, all sorts of different birds turn up for their feed. And before that, when we were in East Melbourne, Geshe used to feed them in Fitzroy Gardens. And there, a lot of seagulls would be waddling down the path following this Tibetan Buddhist monk. And that was quite a scene. All the tourists would be taking snaps, and yeah, it was very nice. So Geshe passed away in 2011, and since then, yeah, Matthew's been keeping up this wonderful tradition of feeding the birds first thing. So a lot of people remark what a peaceful garden this is, and you can hear all the bird sound. And as well as that, our Buddhist gardening principles, we try as much as possible to avoid any harm to insects and so on. So a lot of people do remark, even delivery drivers or people who come here for classes or for retreats. We get lots of people come, different types of groups come, such as school groups and community groups, University of the Third Age. They come, maybe have a garden tour, have a sit in the temple and so on, and have a nice day. So yeah, it's a very peaceful spot. So we moved to this property in 1989. Before that, the Tibetan Buddhist Society was in East Melbourne, a rented property. It was very nice because it was a tiny little garden. You could get it done in maybe 20 minutes, and then we could all go and watch television. It was fantastic. And suddenly we moved out here to this 10 acres of very sticky clay, and had a bit of a crash course for a lot of the residents in gardening. And our spiritual head, Geshe Acharya Thupten Loden, who's a very great scholar and Tibetan meditation master, he was keen for us to bring a lot of colour into the garden. So we started improving the soil and adding a lot of compost, a lot of manure, and then gradually increasing the variety of the plant collection. So like I say, we focused a fair bit on roses. Here's a couple of roses. This one's called First Prize. In springtime, it opens almost the size of a dinner plate. Another hybrid tea, a good white hybrid tea. This one's called Memoir. And over here, it's actually just finished flowering, is Oklahoma, which is a lovely deep red rose with a very rich, sweet fragrance. So humans have been growing roses for fragrance for thousands and thousands of years, because it was very useful in the old days when there was no plumbing and everyone was a bit whiffy. Then they used to get olive oil and infuse the rose buds in the olive oil, and you'd get a scented rose scent. A scented oil. But these days they use steam distillation to extract pure rose oil. But so roses, the oil is a very complex compound. There's over 80 substances in it. And there's ones that smell like citrus, there's ones that smell like dried tea, there's ones raspberry, strawberry, myrrh. Well, there's a really classical, rich, sweet rose fragrance like the gallicas and damasks that, for example, they were grown in Christian monasteries throughout the Middle Ages that have a rose garden there. And back in those days, I think there was a bit of a sense that the more beautiful the plant, then the more healing the plant properties. So if you caught a cold, they'd give you rose juice. And if you got the bubonic plague, they'd also give you rose juice, and you'd die smelling nice. So these days, modern garden roses. Oh, there's the cockatoos. They've turned up. We get a lot of cockatoos in the garden when the cypress and the pines are putting out their cones. So we'll... we might wrap it up. Okay. This is a traditional Tibetan temple. It's fairly unique. All the ornamentation is handmade. We had craftsmen from India and Nepal who've had sort of many generations of skill in creating these sorts of ornaments. And all the ornamentation has a meaning on the Buddhist path to enlightenment. So, for example, the male and female deer are surrounding the wheel, the Dharma wheel. The Buddha, 2,500 years ago, his three major teachings were called the three turnings of the wheel of Dharma. And the male and female deer, I've heard, represent alertness and peacefulness, which are two of the qualities we try and cultivate in meditation. So the temple's got lots of different functions. It's we run relaxation meditation, healing meditations, Buddhist philosophy classes, retreats, sometimes weekend retreats or longer retreats. Sometimes we do fundraising dinners out the back. We've raised more than $1 million for different charities and for different causes, such as droughts, farmers' droughts, bushfires, earthquakes, both within Australia and outside Australia. And we regularly run a meal down in Broadmeadows, Banksia Community Centre. So for people who are doing it tough, then a good sit-down meal we help provide. So temple was built in 2000, and the temple was built by our spiritual head, Geshe Acharya Thupten Lodin. He's, as I mentioned before, a very great scholar within this tradition. And Geshe was a Tibetan refugee. He had to flee Tibet in 1959. And he's always said, since being in Australia, that it's important to recognize the kindness that's shown to you. That's part of Buddhist philosophy, the kindness of our parents. And Geshe, as a refugee, he'd always reflect the kindness that Australians had shown him. He said, I've been eating Australian food and drinking Australian water for all these years. I've been helped by Australian people. And so Geshe's way of repaying the kindness, he'd say, is to create these beautiful meditation environments and these beautiful, peaceful gardens. So in these stressful times, you can come here and just settle the mind and calm down, whether it's on the meditation cushion inside the temple or out sitting under the willow trees by the lake. Then, yeah. And that's why this garden is all voluntarily maintained. And that's why we're all prepared to put in. We really see it as a useful thing for Melbourne, useful thing for Victoria, and everyone enjoys it when they come here. And you can hear all the birds, even they enjoy being here. So, like I say, we're open without these COVID restrictions. Normally, we're open for classes, we're open for meditation retreats. We have festivals, Buddhist festivals twice a year. We have lots of groups come and visit, so please contact the Centre, Tibetan Buddhist Society. You're welcome to organise a group visit. And also we try and have a garden open day, the first Saturday of every month between 10 and 1 o'clock. But towards the end of this year, because of various interruptions with the restrictions, I think we're going for the third Saturday of every month. So ring before you visit and just to check when we're open. But generally from next year on, it'll be first Saturday of every month between 10 and 1 o'clock. So thanks for listening, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.